At Mayaso, we are very pleased to have with us Kumi Bradshaw, who is a professional with a broad range of entrepreneurial experiences. So I'm going to let Kumi tell us briefly about himself and his journey from graduating to where he is now. Then we can dive deeper into some of the things that he has done. So Kumi.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity, Yasmina. A little bit about myself. I'm obviously a member of the diaspora. My mother was born in Sierra Leone. I was born outside of Sierra Leone. I currently live in Bermuda. I suppose we want to talk about my educational journey. I did some schooling in the UK, some schooling obviously in Sierra Leone when I was very young. Schooling in Bermuda. I had the opportunity to do my undergrad in Canada and my graduate studies in the US. What I can say is, for me, I found that I did drop out of university in undergraduate because I was frustrated, very frankly, with some of the stuff that I was learning.
So that's interesting. That's very interesting, because you would not be the first person who may have felt frustration with what they were learning. Mm-hmm. So what exactly was it that made you feel so frustrated?
I've had a lifelong passion for business, not from a perspective of sitting in the ivory towers, from a perspective of actually getting things done, for interacting with people. Because what I was finding was a disconnect between some of the academic approach to things and the actual real world problem solving that had to take place. And I remember what happened was I had some, after I dropped out the first time, I'd had some success, some economic success I'd had online retail stores. This was back in 99, 98, so on and so forth. This is before there was Shopify, or even really proper shopping carts. So I taught myself how to code. One of the things that I'd seen as an opportunity was to leverage the internet at the time and to be able to distribute products that just did not have a presence. It was so confusing to me because you had these business owners who had established presences producing goods that were in demand all over the world, but they did not have distribution. And I said, well, I can do that with the internet. So
that was ahead of its time. So in essence, you were slightly, even though the tools existed, it wasn't as common as it is now, which means that, like you said, the need was there and you were a visionary to see the gap and try and bridge the gap and learn new skills in so doing.
One of my perspective is I don't even view that as being a visionary. I just view that as seeing opportunity and just take action, right? When there's opportunity, you feel you have this compulsion to take action. And what I find when I talk about unlearning some of the academic stuff, a lot of the academic stuff is this fear of making mistakes. And what I found in sort of my career so far is that, as opposed to academia, where you were sort of dissuaded from making mistakes, in the real world of business, at least the lens through which I look, you have to make mistakes in order to learn. The point of it is learning. The point of it is not getting a 99 because this person got a 98, so we're competing with each other. The point is learning and sharing experiences and perspectives, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to embrace the experience. And the more that you sort of hit your head against the wall, the more that you stub your toe, and the more that you learn from those experiences, you get to start iterating. And with iteration comes success. And whether that ultimately means that your current ventures or venture, singular or plural, is or are super successful, in my experience, you also become, with part of this intent of this communication being around helping folks to understand that it's not just about get the degree and sit there and wait for somebody to call you. You become much more hireable. You become much more attractive as a candidate. You have transferable skill sets, the ability to negotiate, the ability to view and see opportunities. When I look at hiring in stuff that I do now, people who are just mundanely performing a task are increasingly replaceable. People who can think, people who can spot opportunities, people who can synthesize things, they're invaluable. And human capital, especially as we transition to more of a knowledge economy, etc., is incredible.
It's really interesting because from my observation as well, I studied engineering, so I did cybernetics, robotics. And throughout my studies, we're taught to make things, to make mistakes. So I never had the mindset or the hesitation that I shouldn't try anything. That was the whole point of studying engineering, is that you go make something. Of course, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to collaborate. You're going to think of a new solution. But I noticed a different approach as I moved more into the financial services, where people had come from a different kind of background. Even in meetings, in brainstorming, some people may, and it could just be personalities, but people seem more hesitant to appear to make a mistake. Whereas for me, that I've been taught that's what you do. So it's really interesting that the skill set that you're saying we all need to have is the ability to be able to make mistakes, learn from them. You said a really good thing: with iteration comes success.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah. And then you had another phrase: see opportunity, take action. I like those.
Yeah, I mean, I feel very strongly about that. Growing up, I was a big, and continue to be a big consumer of biographies. And biographies of successful men and women and folks from different backgrounds. One constant is that there are very few folks who are successful in their first try, second try, or third try. And I remember having a conversation with a former schoolmate of mine some years ago, and he talked about why he felt it was just important for him just to get a job, and it was so risky to run a business. He said, you're given the statistic of X amount of businesses fail within the first year or 3 years or what have you. And what I remember talking to somebody who was much older than me at the time and who had tremendous financial success. And he said, yes, they do. It's not the businesses that fail. It's that people give up, number one. And that people fail to learn, because you're supposed to fail, right? You're supposed to say, oh, you're supposed to hit your head against the wall and say, oh, I need to have better accounting support. Oh, I need to do better at marketing. And so the best way to learn these things ultimately is just to get out there, to start, to try, and to do. What you want to do is you want to have failures which are not critical failures which are not going to set you back years and cripple your sort of financial backing, but you have to play the game. I'm not a big hockey fan, but there's the whole Wayne Gretzky quote about you miss every shot you don't take. Right? You miss every shot you don't take. And very frankly, the success, the positive outcomes of success are outsized, right? When you look at even if somebody's looking at things and saying, okay, I'm in this to make money, right? To support my family or what have you. One can say, for example, yes, I have a job and do other things at the same time, and just keep testing and keep learning and keep learning. Number one, you become, again, if you stay in your career, you become more marketable and much more valuable to your organization and to other organizations. And then people start trying to poach you. People start trying to bring you onto their team. A big lesson for me, again, was around learning about the importance of working as a member of team.
Yeah.
That's a critical thing in my mind. Go ahead.
So think of someone who is in the diaspora, on the continent, or in a situation where it is a little bit more difficult to find work, because there are certain regions of the world where, as a professional, as a graduate, you can find work. There are plenty for entry-level positions. Whereas in some regions of the world, there are many people who do qualify and they can't find employment. So therefore, this whole entrepreneurship becomes a key factor. What skills, or how would you enable them to prepare? Like, what did you do to prepare, either in a mindset or in whatever service you were going to deliver? What key advice would you give them?
I would, it's funny, the advice gets simpler as I get a little bit more perspective. Find something people are willing to pay you for. Good
point. Excellent point.
It's as simple as that. I had a professor in business school who, again, he was in his 70s or 80s, and he had a net worth he had commas and zeros in the hundreds of millions of dollars, right? He was very, very, very successful, or had been very successful. And he said, look, all this is kerfuffle. Find something people are willing to pay you for, right? So it might be, and so find a problem. So if you look at somebody in the diaspora who's been successful, I don't know if a lot of folks know this, the founder of Calendly, which is a
What?
simple Calendly, Calendly.
Oh yeah, Calendly. Yes. Yeah.
He's from diaspora. He's from diaspora. I don't remember from which country he is.
Nigerian. I don't know. I think it's Nigerian.
Perhaps we have the internet now. You can just go and look at his story. Look at what he did. Right. If you look at folks, I remember there was a French, a North African billionaire who was a migrant. He was a migrant, and he obviously survived the passage, etc. He had no family, and he became a billionaire through using scaffolding for building construction. He worked on construction sites. He was, my understanding was he was illiterate for an extended period of his life, and he was very successful simply by finding a problem and addressing it. You know, if you look in America with the chain Subway that was there, the fellow made sandwiches. If you at this point in my life, if I had the knowledge I have now, and I was in my sort of university leaving years, it would be hilarious, because the energy and the time you have to be able to apply yourself to stuff is incredible. You find something that people are willing to pay you for, and then find something that will scale, and then find something where you can use leverage. And what I mean by using leverage is you can get other people to work for you, you can get software to work for you, something that will make you money while you are asleep.
While you sleep, make money while you sleep. I like that.
Yes. And I don't mean that to sound like these people who are but while you're not actively working, that's the separation between self-employment and being a business owner, or what I view as a sort of higher level of entrepreneurship.